Welcome to another deep dive. This time we're going to be exploring karma yoga, and we're going to be looking at it through the lens of Sadhguru's writings. You know, so many people out there have these preconceived notions. They're thinking, oh man, one of those self-help lectures. But this is going to be different. I think you're really going to enjoy this.
Yeah, this should be pretty interesting.
Yeah. So Sadhguru's take on karma yoga, it's all about, well, how do you describe it? How would you sum it up?
I think the best way to describe it is using your actions as stepping stones to liberation. Not letting them trap you.
Yeah.
So it's about taking the reins of your life.
Uh-huh.
And not being sort of dragged along by it.
Right. Not being a slave to your karma.
Exactly, yeah.
And I love how he illustrates this with that simple analogy
Oh, yeah.
of a fisherman and a fish. And he asks, are you the one fishing or are you the fish being caught? And it really makes you think about, you know, all the things we're chasing in life, like our careers, our relationships, material possessions. You know, are we really in control, or are we just...
I think that's a profound question that he poses there.
Yeah.
That challenges us to really look at our own motivations.
Yeah.
And are these pursuits, you know, leading us to genuine fulfillment? Or are we constantly hooked by that desire for more and never really truly satisfied? So I think that's what Sadhguru's writings on karma yoga really invites us to do, is to become aware of these unconscious patterns.
Yeah.
And break free from them.
Yeah. And I've noticed over the years that a lot of people have misconceptions about karma yoga. They think that it's about being constantly on the go, like a tireless worker bee. Or they think it's all about social service, you know, dedicating your entire life to helping other people. And then some people think it's all about duty and following these really rigid rules.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Those are precisely the oversimplifications that Sadhguru addresses head on. You know, he really encourages us to move beyond these surface level interpretations and to delve into the true essence of what karma yoga is all about, which is a pathway to inner freedom.
And one of the ways he illustrates this is by telling that fascinating story about the three men working at a construction site.
Yeah.
And they're all doing the same task, which is cutting stone.
Right.
But their perception of their work couldn't be more different.
Yeah. And this story, I think, really highlights that transformative power of perception in karma yoga. You know, one man sees his work as backbreaking drudgery, another is just a means to earn a living. And then the third one, he's brimming with joy. He sees himself as contributing to the creation of this magnificent temple.
Right, and it's the same action.
Yeah.
But they're experiencing it so differently.
Yeah, and that's really a core principle, I think, of karma yoga.
Yeah.
It's not just about what you do, but the volition and the awareness that you bring to the action.
Yeah, so it's not just the action, it's your intention behind it.
Exactly.
And the awareness of that action.
Yes.
That makes it
Powerful.
powerful, right. And he also goes on to challenge the whole idea that karma yoga is all about constant action.
Right.
Like you have to be doing something all the time.
Exactly. And actually what he emphasizes is the quality of the action, not the quantity of action. He's saying, you know, even simple tasks, when performed with conscious awareness, can be liberating.
Yeah. So you don't have to be like a busy bee all the time, just ticking things off your to-do list.
In fact, constant mindless activity, he suggests, is actually a form of entanglement.
Oh, so that's going against what the goal is.
Exactly.
Of karma yoga.
Yes. Karma yoga, as in his view, is about engaging in actions that free you from the shackles of your past karma.
Yeah.
Not to keep you perpetually busy.
Right. And that also kind of goes against that whole notion that it has to be social service.
Right.
Like it's only karma yoga if you're out there helping people. But he's saying no.
He debunks that myth completely. Yeah. And what he emphasizes is that even acts of service, if they're done with a sense of compulsion or obligation, can actually be more entangling than liberating. So it's about bringing conscious volition to everything that you do.
Right. So if you're washing the dishes and you're resenting it, that's not karma yoga.
Not really.
But if you're really
You could make
present with it,
Yeah.
that could be.
I can transform it
Yeah.
to karma yoga.
And he also goes on to say that a whole idea of duty, he calls it a form of tyranny.
Yeah.
So he's saying, like, you shouldn't live a life based on duty.
Well, I think the insightful thing here is that he's not saying that we should shirk our responsibilities, you know?
Yeah.
But what he's pointing out is that true freedom comes from transforming our actions into a joyful offering.
Okay.
Not fulfilling them out of a sense of burden or external pressure.
Right, yeah.
But he's saying, make life itself a yanya. Make it a sacred offering.
Wow. That's really profound when you think about it like that. So how do we do that? He says that there's two main approaches to this to kind of help people along. And those are awareness and abandon.
Yes.
Can you explain those?
Yeah, so those are, I think, two powerful pathways to shedding karma.
Okay. Ideally
Ideally embraced in tandem. But I think before we delve into them, it's important to kind of clarify what we even mean by shedding karma.
Yeah.
It's not about erasing our past actions.
Okay.
But it's about transforming our relationship with them. So liberating ourselves from their grip.
Oh, okay.
It's not about denying the past.
Gotcha. So awareness.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Be aware of your actions. But it sounds like he's saying something a little deeper than that.
He is, yeah.
Is that simple awareness?
It's not just mental alertness.
Okay.
But he's talking about an awareness that arises from the deepest layer of our consciousness. This kind of all-encompassing presence that goes beyond the mental chatter. And, he even shares this kind of funny anecdote about two priests and their signboard.
Oh, I love a good story. Okay. Let's tell me.
All right, so these two priests were standing by the roadside, right? And they're holding a sign.
Okay.
And the sign reads, "The end is near. Turn around before it's too late." So a speeding car comes whizzing by, and the driver yells out, "Leave us alone, you religious nuts." And moments later, they hear this loud crash.
Oh, no.
And one priest turns to the other and says, "Maybe we should just write bridges out."
Oh, that's hilarious. So it's about seeing reality as it is.
Yes.
Without all the filters and the judgments and all that. But how do you cultivate that?
Well, Sadhguru emphasizes that true awareness is a state of being, not just a mental technique. It's about cultivating an inner spaciousness that allows us to perceive life without those limitations of our conditioned mind. And he suggests that, this awareness can emerge through various yogic practices.
Yeah.
Particularly those that still the fluctuations of the mind.
Oh, okay. So awareness, being present.
Yeah.
Okay, what about abandon? What does that mean? Does that mean throw caution to the wind?
Yeah.
And just do whatever you want?
Not quite.
Okay.
So when Sadhguru is using the term abandon, he's describing a state of complete immersion in the activity, emergence of the actor in the action, where all the burdens of the past just seem to fall away.
Okay.
And he points out that often athletes and artists experience this state of flow.
Yeah.
But they struggle to sustain it.
Right. You get in the zone, you're doing something. And
you're completely absorbed.
Yeah, you're completely absorbed in.
Time disappears.
Right.
But yeah, it's hard to keep that going. And Sadhguru suggests that. Yoga provides the tools to not only access, but also to sustain that state of effortless flow.
Okay.
Yeah. And he even gives the example of finding stillness pleasurable, even amidst a very hectic schedule, as a sign of abandon.
Okay. That's interesting because most people, I think, associate stillness with boredom or laziness.
Yeah. But he's talking about a different kind of stillness here.
Okay.
One that arises from deep inner peace and contentment.
Right.
And he contrasts this with being caught up in the whirlwind of our own thoughts and desires.
Yeah.
Which he refers to as our limited psychological creations.
So it's about connecting with something that's beyond
deeper,
the mental chatter that's within us.
Yes.
It seems like both awareness and abandon in their own way help us kind of break free from those self-imposed limitations and experience something a little deeper, a little more free.
Yes. And Sadhguru concludes this section by highlighting that conscious involvement, whether it's through awareness or abandon, is really key to escaping those cocoons that we weave around ourselves.
Oh, yeah. I like that. The cocoons that we weave around ourselves. That's a great way to put it. So stay tuned because when we come back, we're going to continue this deep dive into karma yoga with Sadhguru's writings.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're talking about this idea of renouncing the fruit of one's actions. It sounds kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Especially in a world where, everybody's always looking for that end result. Got to get that achievement.
It's definitely a concept that challenges our conventional understanding of success and motivation.
Right.
And what's fascinating is how Sadhguru actually embodies this principle in his own life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He actually states that. All the work he does, the yoga programs, the talks, the social initiatives, they don't mean anything to him personally.
Wait a minute. Is he saying he doesn't care about the impact of his work?
Not at all, no. He clarifies that. Of
Right.
course, he recognizes the value and the positive influence, but he's not attached to the outcomes.
Oh.
You know, he acts with complete involvement, dedication, intensity, but without being driven by a need for personal recognition or reward.
So it's not about apathy or indifference.
Yeah.
It's more about detaching from the results of his actions.
Precisely.
Okay.
He says, I would continue to do my work as if my life depended upon it, even if it cost me my life.
Wow.
So
That's commitment.
Yeah.
That's beyond, the personal
yeah.
gain or loss or whatever. So that's great for him. But how does that translate into
Yeah.
everyday life for, the average person? I need that paycheck.
Yeah.
To make ends meet. I need that promotion to feel some kind of sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, and Sadhguru actually acknowledges that.
Okay.
He's not saying we should disregard those
Right.
practical realities or responsibilities. He's encouraging us to examine our underlying motivations,
Okay.
And
Okay.
he gives this example of an accountant who is driven by prestige, social status, financial rewards,
Yeah.
rather than a genuine love for working with numbers.
So it's about finding that inner drive,
Yeah.
that passion for the activity itself,
Yeah.
regardless of the external rewards or whatever, recognition.
Exactly. He even says, relates to playing a game.
Mm-hmm.
The real joy comes from
Yeah.
playing well,
Right.
from the process of engaging in the game, not just from winning or losing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If your happiness is completely dependent on the outcome,
hmm
you're just setting yourself up for
Yeah.
a roller coaster
Exactly.
of emotions.
Potentially a lot of stress, disappointment.
Yeah. Right.
And he's saying, if we can shift our focus
Yeah.
to the process, to finding fulfillment in the action itself, then we kind of liberate ourselves from that constant pressure to achieve
Yeah.
specific results.
Yeah. So that kind of reminds me of something else he talks about, which is the whole choice between ruling and serving.
Yeah.
He seems to be saying that the path is about service, but not in the traditional sense
Yes.
of the word.
He distinguishes
Okay.
between serving as a form of conquest,
Okay.
where we're trying to dominate
Yeah.
and control, and serving as a form of immersion,
Okay.
where we're actually acting out of a genuine sense of purpose
Yeah.
and connection.
Okay.
Yeah, and he makes that kind of playful
Yeah. Yeah.
observation that, everybody wants to rule the world,
Mm-hmm.
but most of us just end up ruling our household,
Right.
yeah,
That's true.
due to lack of intensity or focus.
Yeah.
But
And he's got a sense of humor.
he does, yeah.
Yeah.
And he contrasts that. Tyrant's kind of forceful self-image,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
built on power and control,
Mm.
with that effortless creation. That emerges when our actions are driven by a genuine need to contribute,
Right.
not by a desire for personal gain.
Yeah. It's like you're aligning your actions with a purpose
Yeah.
that's bigger than you,
Yes.
than your own ego.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that leads into the whole concept of sacrifice, or yanya.
Right.
Yeah, yanya. And what he's saying is, true sacrifice isn't about giving up something to gain something else,
Okay.
It's about offering something without any expectation of return.
So it's not a transactional thing.
It's not like,
Yeah.
offered a donation to appease the gods or
Right.
gain favor. He distinguishes between, those kinds of ritualistic sacrifices and the act of making one's life a yanya, a continuous offering that benefits all beings. And he uses this beautiful analogy of a mango tree
Okay.
bearing fruit for everyone to enjoy.
I like that.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of that story he tells about the Indian ascetic
Yes.
who finds more joy in a simple life
Yeah.
of selfless service than all the worldly pleasures combined.
Yeah, that story is really beautiful
Yeah.
illustration of how true fulfillment
Yeah.
arises not pursuing our own desires, but from contributing to the well-being of others.
Yeah. And he even brings it closer to home with the story of his own mother,
Okay.
who would always offer a portion of her food to the ants before eating.
Yeah, that's nice.
So even the simplest act
Yeah.
can be
Yeah.
a beautiful expression of offering.
Yeah, so it's about cultivating that attitude in your daily life.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that brings us to another fascinating aspect of karma yoga,
Okay.
which is its impact on the physical body.
Yes.
Now, this is where things get really interesting for me.
Okay.
How does that work? How does our past karma shape our physical form?
Well, Sadhguru explains
Yeah.
that our karmic memory, the residue of our past actions, influences our bodies in ways that go beyond lifestyle choices or physical habits.
So it's not just, slouching or bad ergonomics.
No.
There's something deeper going on.
Yeah, he's talking about an energetic imprint
Okay.
that influences us.
Yeah.
Our thoughts, emotions, actions subtly influence our posture and create what are called asanas, which are essentially karmic tendencies that can manifest in the physical body.
So our bodies are like living records of our past.
In a sense, yes.
Okay.
He even mentions a very fascinating observation about how the left eye can sometimes appear smaller
Wow.
due to emotional distress.
Really?
Yeah, and he links it to the moon and the feminine dimension.
That's fascinating. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. And he also points out that karmic inheritance can create these imbalances in muscle strength and sensation,
Oh, wow.
even when medical tests reveal no physical abnormalities.
Your body's telling a story.
It is.
Even if you're not aware of it.
And he's saying these imbalances are often rooted in these past karmic patterns.
Yeah.
And he even touches upon psychosomatic illnesses,
Yeah.
emphasizing that profound connection
Right.
between the mind and body,
Yeah.
how unresolved emotional issues can manifest as physical ailments.
So given that intricate connection between karma and the body, how does Hatha Yoga address this?
Well, Sadhguru explains that Hatha Yoga is a powerful tool for preparing the body
Okay.
to handle
Yeah.
a heavier karmic load,
Okay.
which ultimately leads to faster liberation in the long run.
So it's like you're strengthening your karmic muscles so you can process.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Our inner intelligence
Uh-huh.
determines how much karma we're equipped to handle in this lifetime.
Okay.
And certain cycles,
Yeah.
12-year cycles, solstices, even moon cycles,
Right.
create these
Yeah.
opportunities to take on more.
Now, wait a minute. Why would you want to take on more karma?
Well, think of it like,
I'm trying to get rid of it.
right, think of it like that. Aesop's fable
Okay.
about the servant who chose to carry the heavier bundles of food,
Okay.
knowing that his load would become lighter with each meal.
Okay, so front load it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So by taking on a heavier load initially, we can actually work through it
Gotcha.
more rapidly
Yeah.
and travel lighter later on.
Okay, that makes sense. So the intense practices
Yep.
at the Isha Yoga Center,
Yes.
that's what's going on. You're trying to burn through it.
Yeah, they're designed to kind of
Okay.
accelerate that process.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and he also highlights that everyone has a different karmic blueprint,
Right. Yeah.
which explains why some people just have boundless physical energy,
Yeah.
while others are more drawn to mental or emotional pursuits.
Yeah. It's like we all have our own recipe.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So align your activity with your particular karmic.
exactly.
Hey.
And he suggests that, by aligning our activities
Yeah.
with our individual karmic allotments,
Yeah.
we can create more balanced and fulfilling lives.
Okay.
So, for example, someone with a lot of physical energy might need to engage in intense activity
Right.
before they can settle into meditation.
Okay. So work with it,
Yeah, work with it.
not against it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that leads to another not fascinating aspect
Okay.
of this, which is karmic friction.
Okay.
And this whole process called Buddha Shuddhi.
Yeah.
Karmic friction. That sounds painful. What is that?
Yeah. Well, think of it like
Okay.
a lack of lubrication in the engine of your life.
Ooh.
So you say we all experience those,
Yeah.
common psychological frictions.
Right.
Stress,
Right.
worry, anxiety.
And then there's,
But then there's these more complex
okay.
karmic frictions
Yeah.
that arise from
Yeah.
mismatches between our karmic inheritance
Mm-hmm.
and our physical or our energy body.
So it's like misaligned gears.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Causing all this friction.
And he suggests that Hatha Yoga can kind of help
Okay.
smooth out
Yeah.
those frictions,
Yeah.
create greater harmony
Yeah.
and ease within the system.
Yeah.
But he also raises this interesting point
Okay.
that some people, due to privilege
Uh-huh.
or fortunate circumstances might actually be, living beyond their karmic blueprint.
Yeah. Oh. So they haven't earned it.
Yeah, they're experiencing a level of well-being or abundance that their karma hasn't quite caught up with.
Right. Okay.
And he refers to this as suffer in one's well-being.
Oh, wow.
So in these cases, it's crucial to consciously upgrade ourselves.
Okay.
Karmically.
Yeah.
Through practices like gratitude, hatha yoga, kriya.
Okay.
To avoid
Yeah.
creating further imbalances.
So you have a level up.
You got to kind of level up internally to match the external circumstances.
Right. Okay. Oh.
And that's where Buddha Shuddhi comes in.
Okay.
So he describes this as a very powerful process for cleansing.
Huh.
The 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, of accumulating karmic information.
Okay.
And it allows for this profound energetic reset.
Okay. So it's like you're cleaning house energetically.
Exactly.
Okay. And he's adapted this, so it's available to both men and women.
Yeah, traditionally it was transmitted.
Yeah.
From guru to disciple.
Oh, okay.
But he's made it more accessible.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
How does it work though?
Well, he's explaining that the 5 elements actually hold information.
Okay.
And this information creates intention, which then directs our actions.
Okay.
So by purifying the elements of accumulated karmic information, we essentially reset our energetic blueprint.
Okay.
And allow new possibilities to emerge.
Oh, wow. So you're basically starting over.
In a way, yeah, it's like a fresh start.
That's great.
He even mentions that some individuals unconsciously perform Buddha Shuddhi.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they radiate this certain purity and presence that just transforms the atmosphere around them.
Like those people that just walk in a room and everybody feels lighter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so imagine if you could do that consciously.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Buddha Shuddhi, and what's really fascinating is it addresses the root of karma.
Okay.
Our patterned ways of being. So it's not about fixing this and that. It's about, transforming.
Yeah. He calls it radical transformation, not superficial change.
Yeah.
It's about breaking free from these unconscious cycles of karma.
No. Okay.
And stepping into a new way of being.
Wow. That's incredible. So where do we go from here? We were talking about karmic friction and Buddha Shuddhi.
Yeah.
What's next in our little exploration here?
Okay, so let's dive into this intriguing concept of minimizing physical memory.
Okay.
Or what's known in yogic terminology as runubandha.
Runubandha.
Yeah.
Okay. Physical memory. Now this is where things get really fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, are we talking about like muscle memory or something deeper?
It goes beyond just the physical realm of muscle memory.
Okay. Yeah.
Sadhguru explains how our bodies store these imprints, not just of our physical actions, but also of our energetic and emotional experiences.
Okay.
And these imprints, he suggests, can actually influence our present-day thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
So it's like we're carrying around all this invisible baggage from the past.
That's a great way to put it.
So how do we manage this runubandha?
Okay, so
does he give us any practical advice?
He discusses several traditional practices that are aimed at minimizing the accumulation of physical memory.
Okay.
And these include things like limited intimacy to a single partner.
Okay.
Being mindful of the foods and substances that we consume.
Okay.
Even avoiding accepting food from strangers.
Oh, wow. So that's getting pretty strict.
He's not advocating for complete social isolation here.
Okay.
But what he's really encouraging is to be conscious of the subtle ways in which physical memory can be transmitted.
Okay.
And he even connects these kind of ancient practices to modern day forensic science and canine tracking.
Okay.
Highlighting that reality of these physical memory imprints.
So our bodies are leaving traces like a dog sniffing something out days later.
Yeah. Okay. And he even mentions the traditional practice of touching a guru's feet as a way of receiving energy transmission.
Yeah, I always wondered about that.
Yeah, and he emphasizes that, the soles of the feet are particularly sensitive to these subtle energies.
Okay.
He also highlights that purifying power of flowing water.
Right.
Explaining why yogis traditionally took dips in rivers.
Uh-huh.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
He talks about these natural cleansing periods offered by nature itself.
Oh, wow.
He mentions specific times of year
Okay.
like July
Okay.
and December, January,
Uh-huh.
in the northern hemisphere,
Okay.
when those air and water elements are particularly strong.
Okay.
And he even suggests that simply standing in a strong wind during these times
Yeah.
could act as like an air wash.
Oh, wow. Nature's like a big car wash.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to think about it.
So you can get an energetic cleansing just by standing out in the wind.
Effortless cleansing, yeah.
Okay. And that brings us to another interesting aspect of this. The fast forwarding of karma through conscious spiritual practices. How's that work?
Okay, so what Sadhguru's explaining here is that engaging in those practices that accelerate our spiritual growth can actually bring past karma to the surface more rapidly.
Okay.
And this can sometimes manifest as like intense, but short-lived physical or emotional discomfort.
So it's better to get it over with.
He compares it to that kind of slow, simmering discomfort experienced by those who aren't actively working through their karma.
Right. So it's like ripping the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it over with.
He even encourages us to embrace this accelerated process.
Okay.
Viewing it as a more efficient way to kind of burn through our karmic backlog.
Okay.
But it doesn't sound very fun. Well, he acknowledges that it can be challenging.
Right.
But ultimately it leads to greater freedom and ease.
So is that why he emphasizes that daily practice?
Yeah, consistent daily practice is key here.
To keep that momentum going.
To kind of keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
And to prevent that karmic stagnation.
Because if you stop, you're just gonna...
Yeah, he points out that.
Yeah.
When we discontinue our practices, those old patterns and tendencies tend to resurface.
Right, you're back to square one.
That's like taking your foot off the gas pedal.
Yeah.
You've eventually slowed down and might even end up back where you started.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Karma Yoga through Sadhguru's writings, what are some of the key takeaways?
Well, I think Sadhguru's approach to Karma Yoga is both insightful and empowering. You know, he reminds us that we have a choice in how we engage with our actions, and that true freedom really lies in aligning ourselves with a larger purpose, acting with awareness, embracing abeyance.
And not just living a life of duty.
Right. Shifting from that mindset of duty and obligation to one of offering and joy.
Joy, yeah.
And he offers these very practical tools.
Yeah.
You know, Hatha Yoga, Bhuta Shuddhi, the Isha Kriya, to support us on this journey of shedding karma and experiencing greater freedom and fulfillment.
He even talks about connecting with nature to help with that energetic cleansing.
Yeah, it's a very holistic approach that integrates both our inner and outer worlds.
It is. It really is. Yeah. And I think one of the most powerful takeaways from this is his emphasis on accepting this moment as inevitable. You know, and he says, think about how your life would change if you could truly embrace this moment without dwelling on the past or worrying about the future.
It's a powerful invitation.
It is.
To really step into the fullness of our being right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
And with that, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into Karma Yoga.
This has been great. I really enjoyed this conversation. And to our listeners, we encourage you to explore these teachings further. Check out the Sadhguru app, try the Isha Kriya, or simply sit in stillness and contemplate this question. If you truly accepted this moment as inevitable, how would your life change in the next 24 hours? That's something to think about.
It is, yeah.
Thanks for joining us.